And we are back in the Moxie Java Listener Lounge on Idaho's 94.9 The River. I want to take a moment to thank some folks that make it possible for us to meet here as often as we have been meeting. And I have another river session to announce at the end of today's. Thanks to our friends at Porta Subs, specifically our good friends at the Emerald and Benjamin location for providing lunch today. Rock's Water, of course, Idaho Water, straight from the springs, and our friends at the Guitar Center. And this is the Moxie Java Listener Lounge, and that means Carrie Ann and our friend Andy here once again providing amazing coffee and treats. All right, Vicki, let's get back to chatting. We wanted to change your microphone out. We were able to do that. We were talking about the fact that you've been making music and doing your own thing now. You started making, when did you start playing out, outside of your bedroom or wherever and started playing for people?
I think when I had enough music to feel like a half-hour set. I learned a lot of Beatles songs because my dad had a Beatles book that showed, where to put your fingers tab.
Oh, okay.
And so once I got about 10 of those, in my back pocket and maybe like a song or two of my own, it was just going to coffee shops and open mics and just practicing, it's all, it's all an evolution. And I think, for my father, one of the things he would say is like, get out in front of as many people, get over the shyness thing, and if this is what you want to do, you really got to get over that. So
sounds like your dad was supportive of what you were doing musically then.
Absolutely.
That's so. You don't hear that a lot with artists all the time. Sometimes you hear stories about how they're, don't you really want to go into school or doctor or something, where it's nice to be supported with what you're interested in.
Well, I was also really into sports, and I loved playing basketball. And so, they were honest with me on that. They were like, yeah, you're too small for that. If you get to college or even high school, they're like, these girls are going to tower over you. So then when I wrote my first song, they said, oh, this is pretty good. She's got a chorus, she's got a bridge there. Okay, so awesome. They kind of held me out there.
We're visiting with Vicki Martinez. Excellent new 4-song EP right now available at iTunes. Have we even talked about the voice yet? Have I brought that up?
No.
I don't think we have. I'm so sorry. Vicki, of course, you will know her. For those of you who have seen her on TV, you're thinking, what? She was on the first season of The Voice. And I do want to ask you about that because, for those of us who saw that program at home, for us, we heard about it when their network started running promos. But you must have been in on it early because you were part of the initial season. So how did you find out about that? Did somebody come and say to you, hey, we heard about this reality show? Or how did that process work for you?
Well, not too many people even knew what the show was all about. And so they actually were doing casting and went to, different cities around the country and, I think really just went online and looked for singers in the area.
Okay.
And one of the guys happened to be from Seattle. And so when I popped up, they were like, yeah, let's get her in. So they contacted my manager and just said, they knew the history of the American Idol thing. They're like, this is different.
Right, because you had actually won a regional American Idol, but decided, I think smartly, that the contract was like maybe not very friendly or something?
Yeah, and I was a lot younger then,
Okay.
and I just, didn't want to go on TV and misrepresent myself. I wanted to grow up. And
Sounds like you had done a whole lot of that already at that point to make a decision like that. Let's face it, that was, a lot of people would have rushed headlong into it. So you got into, you got your foot in the door with The Voice, and I'm going to guess that was a different kind of experience from auditioning for American Idol or whatever other television you had done before.
yeah, the first interview I did, which was in Seattle, just for them to get to know me, was with this woman, Deanna, and I don't know if, obviously she got the job for a reason, because she was so great to talk to. I got to talk about what I wanted to talk about, be myself, just, and they weren't trying to feed you things, you know what I mean, or get you, manipulate, your conversation or this. It was like, God, this is like a therapy session, okay, maybe I need some of this in my life. So it was great.
And then from there, you, I assume, got to go do a tryout somewhere else then from Seattle, and
yeah,
or did you just get right onto did they just start things up right from there?
Well, you went to Hollywood, and you did some more tryouts, and I think one thing that my manager and I said was like, you know what, let's just you know, say yes until it's something you don't want to do anymore. If it's a good experience, why would you walk away from it? You know, it's just standing, you know, letting, you know, fear, you know, totally make the decision for you was just totally something I wasn't gonna do anymore. You know, it's something that, you know, I'd done in the past that, you know, I was too scared to do this or didn't want to do the wrong thing or you know, take the wrong road. And it's like, why say no to something that, you know, you're actually enjoying at the moment? So.
That's it seems to me like really sage advice, no matter sort of what your interests
Well,
are
yeah,
or where
absolutely,
you want to go.
Absolutely.
What was the most surreal thing about that program at any point? I mean, it could have even been your first day on the soundstage. It could have been later on in the competition. But what was the most surreal point where you stopped? Where you were just like, look at what I'm in the middle of.
I think it gives me goosebumps right now. There's two things. The first thing was when we did the blind audition, and they had us backstage before we all went before we all went and did our audition. But they all had us come together and watch Christina Aguilera and Adam and Blake and CeeLo perform their first song, you know, to open the show. And all of us just were like, oh wow, this is real. Like, we're gonna be performing for these people. Like, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't even thinking about the audience, you know, in the room. It was just, wow, those people are gonna be. And when to have CeeLo and Christina turn around, and when I actually got to talk, I just was like, wow, this is really happening. And then the other thing for me was when the show was over and we left, and you were recognized by everybody on the street. It was just like, you know, we were in closed quarters for a long time.
Sure.
And so then it'd be like, wow, people actually did watch the show.
Oh yes, they did. Oh yes, they did watch the show.
This is weird, you know. They know, and I'm in my sweats, and I'm picking my nose. I don't know.
We're visiting with Vicki Martinez. You know, it's usually about this time when we get to do a session here where I tell you where she'll be performing tonight. But you know, she's just come through town as a way to meet up with River listeners and share a little